This is better. All my people up top, how you guys doing? We will not forget about you. No, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Guys, I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here in this room with you guys today. Like I talked about earlier in the event, the first trip that I took out here to London, we had gone to some different countries in Europe, and really the company was still in that phase one, right? That even Zinni talked about, where people saw a vision, they saw something different. They saw Chris Terry's concept that he created years ago, where we could change the most dynamic and exciting industry in the world by giving people options. I think that's the biggest thing that I could say about IML to this point, is that you have options. And it feels great as an individual that absolutely loves this company to be able to walk into any room around the world, to be able to shake somebody's hand, look them in the eye, and understand that they can become successful. Now, is success guaranteed? No, that's life. And with success comes a lot of trial and error. And I think that's really where the deciding factor for your success is going to be created. How do you deal with those downtime? How do you deal with failure? Because look, it's easy to celebrate, right? When you're having a great day, it's easy to thrive in that great day. When you achieve something, it's easy to celebrate. But just like a game of soccer, you might only score 1 or 2 goals. So what do you do in the rest of the game to keep your head in the game? And I think for those of you today who are sitting here right now, who are newer, and even those of you guys who I would consider veterans, right? People that I've seen time and time again, the key is to keep your head in the game. That's what will separate you from everybody else. The best athletes, they're not on the bench. You guys watch professional sports from this point forward. The best athletes are not on the bench, small talking and playing games. The best, I was at the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago. I know Yvonne and Monica were there as well. And I watched Tom Brady. Because for a while I was not a fan of Tom Brady, until I realized that he is one of the greatest athletes of all time. And I watched what he did on the sideline. He was focused. When his team didn't have the ball, he was focused. During the halftime show, I'm sure he was sitting there focused. So if you want to win big, guys, you have to master your focus, because in that realm of focus, when you're in that highest level of your thought process, that highest level of conscious competence, that's where you're going to make the most crucial decisions, and then that's where your vision becomes a reality. So one of the things that I want to talk about today is what I believe are the 3 most crucial levels to your journey. Okay, and I know there's a lot of new people here, and so I want to talk about the first level. Okay, if you're taking notes, write down the word dependent. So when you start this business, you're dependent on something. Right? You're dependent on your sponsor, you're dependent on the IML Academy. Look, what I'm going to talk about is actually applicable to training and to building the business. And so if you want to master both, this is perfect. If you want to master one or the other, this is perfect. But that word dependent, right? It's actually good to be dependent for a period of time on something or somebody. That's why you hear these leaders on stage giving their credit to the system, right? To duplication. Because if we're dependent on a system and the duplication is a part of what we're doing, then anybody can do it. And so it's actually good and encouraged for you to be dependent on a leader that you like, trust, and respect. On IML TV, maybe you find some traders that you really, correlate with, some traders that have a strategy that matches your personality. Maybe you are dependent on the web analyzer, or you're dependent on swipe trades, and that's good, but I want you to write down the word under that, expiration. Being in that dependent phase, I believe you're capped on your income. Now, this applies again to anything. But let me give you an example with trading. If you're dependent on one specific tool or one specific teacher, or you just need somebody there to get you fired up and motivated, right? You're only trading when so-and-so's on this session. I believe you're capped on your income. I believe maybe you can make a few $100s a month, maybe, $1,000, $2,000 a month. Results not typical, but I believe you stay in that dependent phase, you have a lid on your success. Now in the business, I actually don't think it's possible to go to platinum 2,000, platinum 5,000 if you're dependent. If you're dependent on Yvonne and Monica coming into the market to do an event for your team, you can't go to that next level. If you're dependent on, David Imonitier coming here and sitting with you and telling you you're great and telling you you can do it, and that's the only time you're going to have momentum, you're going to be capped on where you can go. So that dependent phase is good if it has an expiration date attached to it. I believe it's very good for somebody to be dependent for 60 to 90 days. I believe the first 60 to 90 days you should be dependent because we learn from the experiences and failures of others. Write that down. You're going to learn the greatest lessons in your life by listening to what other people did wrong. If you don't listen to what other people have done wrong and what other people have done right, then you're going to have to go through all that trial and error, all that failure yourself before you get to that level of success that you want to get to. So if you can learn from other people, if we can take, Shabazz and Suhail's story about, ups and downs and hitting rock bottom multiple times and bouncing back, and we can take what they did wrong and bypass that, you have a faster journey to the top. That's why you guys see the world growing so fast. That's why every phone, every technology, every car seems to be a little bit better. Because we're learning from other people. We're learning from other experiences. And so in your business, it's great to be dependent. In your trading, it's great to be dependent because if you can learn from the people who have what you want, you're going to become successful what? Fast. So the second phase, independent. Write the word down, independent. This is a really good place to be. I believe that 90% of people are in the independent phase after the first 90 days. Independent means this, for the leaders, for the people that want to go out and build a business. How many people here would love to hit Platinum 5,000 or chairman in the next 6 months to a year? Raise your hand. Okay. How many people here would love to make an extra few $1,000s a month trading? Okay. Give yourselves a round of applause. So listen very closely. In order to get to this level, to these goals, you have to be independent. Which means what? That you make all the decisions for you. You're no longer dependent on the alarm clock to wake you up. Let me tell you guys something. How many hours a day? How many hours are in a day? 24. Does anybody in this room have 25? Did Michael Jordan have 25? Oprah? Drake? Maybe. Maybe. We're still trying to figure that one out. But from my understanding, we all have 24 hours in a day. So, when people tell you, you know what? I don't have a lot of time. I can't do this. I don't have a lot of time. I can't become a great trader. I don't have a lot of... Better pump the brakes real quick. I'm about to take them to school. Check this out. If you sleep for 8 hours, you have 16 hours left. If you sleep for more than 8 hours, you are in need of some attention. Psychological or medical attention. You're allowed to laugh. Guys, if you're sleeping 9, 10, 11, 12 hours, what are you doing? You're like a bear. You only need 8. And some people ride this team no sleep thing, right? Team no sleep, team no... Good luck. You go team no sleep, I'll get my 8 hours and we'll see where you are and I am in 10 years. Because team no sleep means that you are eventually going to what? Burn out. This is what I tell people. In the independent phase, it is most important to get organized. If you guys can master your 24, you can master anything you want in life. Forget IML, forget trading. You want to become great, master your 24 hours. Period, end of story. If you guys understand that you wake up, you have a list of things prepared, you have your sleep done, your gym, oh, you got enough time for that, no excuse, you can't make it to the gym, you can't go run, you can't do this, you can't do that, because you already got your 24 plan. You also will realize that even if you're working a full-time job, you can make this happen. I know that there's parents, how many parents do we have in the building today? Make some noise for the parents. So I am not a parent, but I do work with a lot of people who have kids. And there's always two different conversations. And it all comes down to mindset. I don't know if I can do this, Jason, because, I got work, I have kids, I have this, I have that. And there's other people that say, I will do whatever it takes because I want to make this happen for my kids. And the difference is understanding that 24 hours. Guys, I'm telling you right now, on the iMarketsLive Elite Facebook page, I created a little document you guys can print out. You don't even need to go to the store unless you want to get a planner. If you want, go get a planner. Get something physical, not in your phone, forget your phone. Something powerful happens to the brain when you write things with your hands. Something powerful happens to your brain when you write things with your hand. And my advice from this day forward, when you go to a meeting, bring a pen and a notepad and take written notes, because something powerful will happen with that specific information. So you print out this calendar and just start taking everything you're doing and getting it on paper. And you guys will notice one thing. When I did this 2.5 years ago, my whole life changed. And I've done this to people, and I've suggested this to people. And I've watched their whole lives change. I've watched even in a short period of time them starting to get the results they're looking for. You'll find, when you do this, that you have a lot more time than you think. But not organizing your time, not organizing your life, is holding you back from being independent and successful. So in the independent phase, here's what you guys need to be doing. If you're trading, you need to be self-motivated and self-accountable. Write those down. Self-motivated, self-accountable. And yet you are not independent until you are accountable for you and until you are the #1 motivating factor for yourself. Independent people are power plants. We produce energy, not only for the energy of other people, but most importantly, the energy of ourselves. You cannot lead other people until you're able to lead yourself. You have to conquer you before you can conquer the world, and I promise you that's the truth. And so in this independent phase, for people that raise their hand and want to hit chairman, you guys need to practice the presentation. You need to go on Zoom or videotape yourself or whatever you got to do. Probably just download Zoom, it's free. Download the PowerPoint, that's free. Get on your computer, go live, record it with nobody watching, and pretend that the whole world's watching. Pretend that your mentor, or the person that, maybe you make the list, right, of 10 people that you would love to get in your business. You make this list, and you pretend that those 10 people are watching you present. You pretend that if you kill that presentation, you're going to have momentum, and you give forth the best effort you could possibly give, and then you go back and watch it. You are your own best critic. You'll know if you were on your game, off your game, nervous, not nervous. I'm telling you guys. I'm sure every speaker in this room, the first time they presented, they were terrified. I remember 4 years ago, my first homie, Alex Morton, came down to my city in New Jersey. We were in a small apartment. There was probably 100 people in this apartment. It was absolutely a fire hazard. We didn't get in trouble, and no fire, thank God. Okay, so we had this slammed apartment, and Alex walked in. It was my first time ever presenting. He walked in, he said, "Hey, you're the guy everybody's talking about." He goes, "You're presenting tonight." I was like, okay, let's do it. And I swear, there was a drink on the table, and I was talking about the product. And I'll never forget, I went to go grab the product, and my hand was shaking so much that I needed 2 hands to pick it up. I was so scared. That's natural. If you're not scared, I'm scared. That makes sense? When you first start. Because you don't know what you don't know. This is why it's so important to stretch your reality. See, you only fear the things you've never done before. So if you've never done your own presentation, guys, you leave here today, go do your own presentation. That's how you become independent. You want big results, you cannot sit around and wait for somebody else to do it for you. Now, here's the beauty of network marketing. Network marketing is a ladder. The person at the top of the ladder, their job is to help give you a hand, help you get up faster. It's a beautiful thing, because Yvonne and Monica came here today on their own dime because they understand the value of serving. Austin came here today on his own dime, understands the value of serving. Because we want to get to the top and then pull you up, not say, hey, you know what, let me take that ladder too. Peace. That's how a lot of things in life work. So if you're independent, you do your own presentations. And value, write this down, independent people value edification. Value edification. There's something beautiful in our industry, and that it's that if you do the work smart, you avoid the hard work. If you find yourself 6 months, a year, 2 years in, still working hard, it's one switch, working smart. Now here's what's beautiful. As human beings, there's a lot of things that we can't move with our physical force, right? We can't, there's just heavy objects that we can't move. Like if we're building a skyscraper, and to get that top floor of the skyscraper done, we need big concrete columns that even hundreds of men could not carry up a building. It's physically impossible. How do they do it? They bring a crane. So every single skyscraper you see being built has a crane right next to it. Why? Leverage. They utilize that leverage to get things that they normally could not get to higher ground. And so if you want to get to higher ground, you need to use something called leverage. Edification is the key to leverage in this industry. See, because if you don't have success, it actually doesn't matter. When I didn't have success, I just connected the people to the person who had that success. That's why you have your upline platinum 1000, your upline platinum 2000. That's why it's so important to know why they do the business. And it's so important to have a real relationship with the people around you. Because if you can really tell somebody, you know, look, I've been working with Shabazz and Suhail, and I know these guys work day in and day out, and they're doing it because they didn't come from the best place, and they want to retire their moms, and they're actually doing it. And so I want to connect you to these two gentlemen because I know you have a similar why. So you create this relatability, the credibility triangle. Now you're able to move that person who they don't see you as successful, but they see the person you're leveraging as successful, and it'll help them make that decision. So independent people edify well. Independent people don't wait for somebody else to motivate them. Okay? The third phase is the most important. Okay? The third phase is called dependable. Dependable. You want to make big money. You want to make big money. I believe that the universe understands servant leadership. I believe that the universe understands when your heart is in the right place. I truly believe that if you do the right things behind closed doors when nobody's watching, the right things always come to you. And sometimes being patient is very hard. But I'm telling you guys right now, the key to your success in trading, the key to your success in this business is to have a 3 to 5 year vision, have a deep, 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 deep why, and fall in love with serving others. Don't make your goals about you anymore. Thank you. Guys, this applies to you, the traders, as well. Because here's the thing, right now you may not know anything, but you may want to become the greatest trader in the world. But I'll tell you right now, it's got to be lonely at the top if you're the only one that knows what you know about trading. And so there's gentlemen in the room, I'll give an example, Bali Granville. And I met Bali the first time I was out here in, it wasn't London, it was north of London, in, somebody help me, I forget. A city, we drove like an hour. It actually doesn't matter, the story's more important. And so, this is a pure example of dependability, getting to the highest level of leadership. So I met Bobby, he was just starting, I think he was a Platinum 150, you know, super, super excited, had absolute amazing energy. He was sponsored by one of our leaders, Gary McSween, down in Trinidad. So, oh, Trinidad? UK, that's in Germany. And not too long ago, we came out with this amazing product called the Web Analyzer. And Bali created a strategy with the Web Analyzer that is amazing. Here's what I love. And this will just tell you everything you need to know about dependability. Bali really had two choices. He has that strategy. He found the water. He found the gold. He found the oil. He got the juice. He could have kept that to himself. He sat there and ate, and ate, and ate. But he made a decision. He made a decision to share that strategy with a few people, then 100 people, and 1,000 people. And I asked Bali one day, I said, man, this strategy, I've been hearing nothing but great things. Would you mind jumping on a webinar with my team in Spain? And he said, no problem, let me know when. Would you mind getting on a webinar with my people in France and we'll translate? No problem. And now, going into this next coming week, Bali will be one of our newest IML TV educators, giving his strategy, teaching what he knows to all of you in this room and everybody around the world. Let's give Bali a round of applause. See, dependable people are the highest form of leadership because you no longer are motivated by your own goals. You're no longer motivated by your own activities. You're motivated by the success of other people. If you feel it in your heart that you really want to serve, then you are aiming your laser. You're targeting dependability, the highest form of servant leadership. And something's to be said about the leaders you guys are going to hear from now. Something's to be said about the leaders you already heard from. All this recognition on stage. Understand that I'm Irish and I even know that luck doesn't exist. You cannot get lucky, okay? There's no such thing in life as luck. There's things in life called probabilities. And by you making the decision to be here today, if you go and make a success story with this, not if, let me get rid of that word, when you go and create your success story, don't let anybody tell you you got lucky. Because there were a lot of people invited to this event today that chose not to go. Or they went out last night and got too turned up and just woke up. You made a decision to put yourself in a position for success. And so understand that your journey from this point forward will rely on one thing, and I'll end with this. People ask me all the time, what's the secret? What can I do to hit Chairman 10? What can I do to get like you? What can I do? What can I do? And I tell them every single time. My answer's been the same for 2.5 years. One word: consistency. And they say, well, I heard you say it before. I said, perfect. I'm being consistent with consistency. Guys, 30 seconds, powerful. Once I understood this concept, I felt like I could be great at anything. Most people will take days off. It's okay to take days off. Don't get discouraged. Most people won't be able to handle the grind. Truly successful people understand that if they put one brick on the wall every day, eventually they're going to have to go to the second level. One brick on the wall every day. Eventually the wall gets pretty big. It's chest high and the wall gets really big. You need a ladder to keep building it. And eventually you have a force. You have something that is sustainable. If you rush all the way to the top of your trading, you take that first loss, it could wipe you out. But if you build your account 1%, and you only risk 1%, you have a bad week, guess what? You're down 4%. But if you have this I need success right now mentality, here's what's gonna happen. Most of the time, you're gonna lose what you got. Remember I told you that. So guys, remember I told you this. Brick by brick by brick by brick is the absolute best way to have success in your life, in your career. London, I love you, thank you, I appreciate you.